opportunities to professional life, but we never rest on our laurels, and there is more to do.
The issues that we see playing out around the world is a function of significant increases in inequality. What we need to do is ask policymakers to take a much more longer-term view, particularly in terms of education, healthcare, and infrastructure.
That call to action is so important to all of us, including the accountancy profession.
Accountants are perfectly placed in their position to have that real meaningful impact.
The role of the accountancy profession is evolving.
We're talking now of environmental sustainability and governance as opposed to just analyzing numbers.
We speak up, we hold businesses and the public sector and ourselves to a higher standard.
The accounting profession has really provided the guidance to the innovators.
Everyone is embracing the diversity and redefining the role of the finance function. The next generation will be attracted by a sense of purpose.
It will become a more aspirational profession for young people as that ethical and trusted advisor.
A better world, to me, is where businesses actually serve the needs of society.
A better world where everyone will embrace accountability to protect the planet, helping businesses to develop in a sustainable way.
So that the decisions that we take as a result serve for the betterment of everybody.
The challenge we have is the pace of change and the degree of adoption of change.
What is the implication on ethics? What is the implication on business?
We can't just continue to operate as we've done for the past 20 years.
If we don't change now, then it's too late.
ACCA has led the world in opening up opportunities to professional life, but we never rest on our laurels, and there is more to do.
The issues that we see playing out around the world is a function of significant increases in inequality. What we need to do is ask policymakers to take a much more longer-term view, particularly in terms of education, healthcare, and infrastructure.
That call to action is so important to all of us, including the accountancy profession.
Accountants are perfectly placed in their position to have that real meaningful impact.
The role of the accountancy profession is evolving.
We're talking now of environmental sustainability and governance as opposed to just analyzing numbers.
We speak up, we hold businesses and the public sector and ourselves to a higher standard.
The accounting profession has really provided the guidance to the innovators.
Everyone is embracing the diversity and redefining the role of the finance function. The next generation will be attracted by a sense of purpose.
It will become a more aspirational profession for young people as that ethical and trusted advisor.
A better world, to me, is where businesses actually serve the needs of society.
A better world where everyone will embrace accountability to protect the planet, helping businesses to develop in a sustainable way.
So that the decisions that we take as a result serve for the betterment of everybody.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nia, and I will be the host of this webinar event. Welcome to the International Webinar, Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Terbuka in collaboration with ACCA and FDAP IAI KAPD today, Saturday, November 18, 2023. We are presenting Navigating the World of IPSAS, Achieving Financial Transparency in the Public Sector. And now, I would like to extend my warm welcome and thanks to our Excellencies, Ibu Olivia Idrus, SAMSC, Vice Dean for Student Affairs, Learning Service and Cooperation of FEBUT, Professor Ali Muktianto, SAMSI, Cert IPSAS, the Vice Rector for Finance, Resources, and General Affairs and UT, and the Head of Public Accounting Lecturer Forum at LAIKAPD, or represented by Dr. Rida Perwitasari, SAMAKS, AKCA, CPA, Cert IPSAS, CFRA, General Secretary of Public Sector Accounting Lecturer Forum, Ibu Julia Simatupang, Country Manager and Chief Representative of ACCA Indonesia, Ibu Ratna Martadewi, SAMACCAK, the Head of Public Financial Accounting Study Program, and also Komite team webinar who have worked hard from preparation to conducting the webinar. And now, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our honorable speakers, both local and overseas, and also the moderator, Mrs. Rasmimi Ramli, ACCA, the Executive Director of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. Good morning, Ibu. Ibu Ling, SAAK, M.B.A, Ph.D, Cert IPSAS, member of Working Committee in the Indonesia Government Accounting Standard Komite. Good morning, Ibu. Bapak Lasando Lumban Gaul, SAMSI AK, Cert IPSAS, Lecturer of Public Financial Accounting Study Program FEBUT. And also welcome to all participants, both local and overseas, on today's webinar. Before starting the event today, may I have your attention, please? Let us pray according to our respective religions and beliefs.
Recording
Prayer
in progress.
begin. Prayer finish? Well, let us continue. On behalf of the Komite team, I would like to inform all participants that in order to keep the webinar productive and conductive, firstly, participants should only communicate through the chat box or unmute when it is necessary and with permission of the Komite. Secondly, only presenters will use the camera and microphone facilities. And lastly, this event can also be watched live and on delay on UT TV's YouTube. And now, I would like to read out the schedule for today's webinar events. It will be divided into 5 parts, and here is the agenda for today's webinar. First, listen to Indonesian National Anthem and Hymne UT. Second, opening remarks from Ibu Olivia Idrus SA MSc Vice Dean for Student Affairs, Learning Services, and Cooperation of FAB UT, FDAP, IAI, KAPD, and ACCA representatives, followed by presentation of material from the guest speakers to be guided by the moderator, and last, question and answer session. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. Participants are requested to write a question in the chat box or raise their hands, and then the moderator will select the questions. Write your full name, followed by your question and the speakers. Last, do fill the feedback form as a condition for the e-certificate and further improvement of the webinar. At the end of the webinar, there will be a giveaway session sponsored by the Public Financial Accounting Study Program. The Komite will share the rules in the chat box, so stay tuned for this webinar from the beginning until the end. That's on today's agenda. It is time that we have been waiting for. Let's open this event by listening to Indonesian National Anthem, followed by Hymne UT. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Ibu Olivia Idrus SA MSc Vice Dean for Student Affairs, Learning Services and Cooperation of ABUT to give her opening speech. Ibu Olivia Idrus, please proceed, and you have 10 minutes for your opening speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Nia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, salam, om swastiastu, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan, rahayu. Welcome to the Honorable Speaker, Puan Rasmimi Ramli, ACC, the Executive Director of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, Ibu Ling, SAAK, M.B.A, Ph.D, CS, Cert, IPSAS, Member of Working Committee in the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard Committee, to Professor Ali Muktianto, SAMSE Cert, IPSAS, the Vice Rector for Finance, Resources and General Affairs at UT and the Head of Public Accounting Lecturer Forum at EIEKAPD, Ibu Julia Simatupang, Country Manager and Chief Representative of ACCA Indonesia, Ratna Marta Dewi SAMACC, AK, the Head of Public Financial Accounting Universitas Terbuka, to Dean and all Vice Deans, lecturers, and students of the Faculty of Economics and Business Universitas Terbuka, committee, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. We are delighted to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the international webinar organized by Public Financial Accounting Study Program, Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Terbuka, the team navigating the world of IPSAS, achieving financial transparency in the public sector. On this very special day, I would like to express my appreciation to everyone who has participated in this event. May we always enjoy excellent health. Ladies and gentlemen, this webinar is being held in line with the Memorandum of Agreement signed by the Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Terbuka and the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, supported by the Institute of Indonesian Chartered Accountants, Educators Accountants Compartment, and the Public Sector Accounting Lecturer Forum. The issue of today's webinar is extremely important in an era where accountability and transparency are the pillars of effective government. Public financial management is at the heart of effective governance, and the adoption of international public sector accounting standards plays a vital role in achieving the much-needed financial transparency in the public sector. Government and public bodies confront complicated and diversified financial management difficulties. As a result, it's essential that we join together as a worldwide community to discuss and exchange thoughts on navigating the complicated landscape of IPSAS. Through this webinar, we aim to foster a collaborative environment where experts, academics, and practitioners can share knowledge, best practices, and innovative ideas that will contribute to the enhancements of financial management in the public sector worldwide. We will be hearing from notable speakers who are experts in the field of public sector accounting, auditing, and financial management during the following few hours. Their experiences and perspective will definitely provide valuable insight that will help us overcome obstacles and progress toward greater financial transparency. As we engage in discussion and presentation, I encourage each participant to actively participate, ask questions, and share their own experiences. The success of this webinar depends on the richness of our collective knowledge and the diversity of perspective that each of you brings to the virtual webinar. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining us today. I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our distinguished speakers, Puan Rasmimi Ramli and Ibu Ling, for accepting our invitation to share your invaluable knowledge. We are honored to have you with us today. I would also like to thank you for the committee support, which allows this event to operate smoothly. Let this webinar serve as a catalyst for constructive dialogue, collaboration, and most importantly, for advancing the cause of achieving financial transparency in the public sector through the adoption and implementation of IPSAS. I believe that this event will be an opportunity for us to exchange ideas and generate new ones. And to everyone else, we wish you a wonderful time at today's event, and we look forward to a fruitful discussion. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We would like to say thank you, Ibu Olivia Idrus, for your opening speech. This is indeed a great pleasure for us to be with you here today in this webinar. Now, I would like to invite Ibu Dr. Rida Perwitasari, SA M.A.K, AK, CA, CPA, Cert IPSAS, CFRA, General Secretary of Public Sector Accounting Lecture Forum, to give her opening speech. To Ibu Dr. Rida, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Selamat pagi. The Honorable Rector of Universitas Terbuka, Profesor Ojat Darojat, the Honorable Vice Rector Universitas Terbuka, as well as Chairman of the Public Accounting Lecture Forum, Institute of Indonesian Chartered Accountant, Professor Dr. Ali Muktianto, the Honorable Dean of Faculty Economics and Business Universitas Terbuka, Dr. Meirani Harsasi, the Honorable Vice Dean of Student Affairs, Learning Services and Corporation of Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Terbuka, Ibu Olivia Idrus, the Honorable Country Manager and Chief Representative of ICCA Indonesia, Ibu Julia Simatupang, the Honorable all speakers of the International Webinar Navigating of the World of IPSAS, Achieving Financial Transparency in the Public Sector. The Honorable Ladies and Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the International Webinar UT. I am deeply honored to stand before you today as representative from Forum Dosen Akuntansi Publik or Forum of Public Accounting Lectures or FDAP. We are created here to explore the theme of today is Navigating of the World in IPSAS, Achieving Financial Transparency in the Public Sector. A very warm welcome to all of you in the join with us today for the crucial discussion on achieving the financial transparency in the public sector. Financial transparency in the public sector is not merely an administrative obligation. It is the cornerstone of the accountability, trust, and good governance. It's about ensuring the public resources and management responsibility ethically and with utmost accountability. Today, as we navigate through the critical subject, we aim to shed light the importance of transparency, the challenges in the implementation, and the most important effective strategies aimed to achieve it. So, in the world of the various transparency in increasing expected and demand, especially in management of public fund, in the significance of our deliberation not overstate. Transparency fosters trust between governments and citizens, promote efficient resource allocation, and X the difference of corruption and mismanagement. However, achieving the level of transparency is not without the hurdles, complexity in the data collection, technology limitation, and resistance to change often pose significant challenges. We also I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Universitas Terbuka for the hosting this event. We are also direct to Association of Charter Certified Accounting or ICCA as our co-organizer, adding the global perspective for our discussion. And we also extremely fortunate for the speakers today, Miss Rasmimi Ramli and Miss Ling. They will provide our invaluable insight and inspiration to the context of the achieving financial transparency in the public sector. As educators and researchers in the field of accounting, we understand the critical role of the financial management plays the achieving of financial transparency in financial public sector is really needed. So therefore, let us make the most the opportunity. Let us learn of each other, challenge of the other, and then inspire each other. Okay, thank you and enjoy the webinar.
Your Excellency Ibu Dr. Rida, thank you for your speech. Now I would like to invite Ibu Julia Simatupang, Country Manager and Chief Representative of ACCA Indonesia. To Ibu Julia Simatupang, please welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and warm greeting to each and every one of you on behalf of ACCA Indonesia. I'd like to share my thanks and greetings with our dear colleagues, Ibu Olivia Idrus, the Vice Dean for Student Affairs, Learning Services and Cooperation of Business Faculty of Universitas Terbuka, to Bapak Professor Ali Muktianto, the Vice Rector for Finance, Resources and General Affairs at Universitas Terbuka, and also the Head of Public Accounting Lecturer Forum at IAI, and also the rest of the colleagues from IAI. And I think with our expert speaker joining us this insightful event today, Puan Rasmimi Ramli, FCCA, the Executive Director of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, who is also the Technical Advisor for the Malaysian IPSAS member, and our, distinguished members also, ACCA member from Malaysia. Ibu Ling, the member of Working Committee in the Indonesia Government Accounting Standard Komite or KSAP. It is truly an honor and a privilege to welcome you to this esteemed event, the International Webinar on Public Financial Accounting Study Program with the theme of Navigating the World of IPSAS, Achieving Financial Transparency in the Public Sector. In the realm of public finance, transparency and accountability stands as cornerstone for effective governance. The need for clear and responsible financial management in the public sector cannot be overstated, and it is with great enthusiasm that we delve into the crucial subject of the International Public Sector Accounting Standards, or IPSAS, today. I think this webinar serves as a platform to explore the fundamental principle of IPSAS, shedding light on practical implementation strategies and unveiling the transformative power of standardized accounting practices in the global public sector. Our distinguished experts will navigate through insightful discussions, real-world case studies, and interactive sessions, providing a comprehensive understanding of the path towards financial transparency and accountability. I think set against the backdrop of the theme Navigating the World of IPSAS, Achieving Financial Transparency in the Public Sector, our event promised to be both informative and engaging. The purpose of this international webinar is multifaceted, aiming to introduce IPSAS, examine best practices from leading public sector entities worldwide, and fosters discussions on the specific challenges faced by attendees in their respective sector. So we encourage active participation as your insight and experience contribute significantly to the richness of the dialogue. In closing, we extend our felt gratitude to Universitas Terbuka for their collaborations and to all participants for joining us on this intellectual journey. May this webinar be a source of inspirations and knowledge, fostering a greater understanding of IPSAS and its role in achieving financial transparency in the public sector. Thank you, and let us embark on this enlightening exploration together.
We'd like to thank you, Ibu Julia Simatupang, for your opening speech. This is indeed a great pleasure for us to be with you here today on this webinar. Respected webinar attendees, that's the opening remarks. So today, webinar with the theme Navigating the World of IPSAS, Achieving Financial Transparency in the Public Sector officially opened. Let's open your camera and we will take a picture together that will be directed with our ICT team, Mbak Nisa.
Okay, ready to take a picture to page 1. 1, 2, 3. Page 2, ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Nisa. Next, let us welcome our honorable speakers, Mrs. Rasmimi Ramli, ACCA, the Executive Director of the Malaysian Institute of Accountant, Ibu Ling, SAAK, M.B.A, Ph.D, Cert IPSAS, member of Working Committee in the Indonesia Government Accounting Standard Committee. For your information, all material will be shared on the link at the end of this webinar. And don't forget, prepare for the giveaway session.
Assalamualaikum dan selamat pagi. Pertama sekali kepada Ibu Julia Simatupang dari ACCA, Bu Ida Perwitasari dan Bu Olivia Idrus dari Universitas Terbuka. So I would like to also thank.
I'm sorry, Ibu Rasmini. May I fearfully apologize. We are not in the material session, so material session will be directed with the moderator. So before that session, we will show a video for giveaway. I'm so sorry, Ibu Rasmini.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I
so
thought
sorry.
the session starts. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I will now hand over the moderator to guide the presentation of the materials and also Q&A. To Mr. Lasando, time is yours.
Thank you, Miss Nia. Okay, time for the presentation. I will be the moderator for today's session. Assalamualaikum. Good morning to all participants joining from Universitas Indonesia. Welcome to the international webinar on public financial accounting studies titled Navigating the World of IPSAS, Achieving Financial Transparency in the Public Sector. My name is Rasmimi Ramli, and it's my pleasure to be your moderator for today's webinar. I'm going to introduce you to the webinar theme. Transparent and accountable financial management in the public sector is key to improve public services. Through clear and accurate financial information, the public can understand the use of public funds and assess the efficiency of public services. Government accounting plays a vital role in enhancing accountability and integrity in public sector financial management. Therefore, our webinar today will delve deeper into the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, or IPSAS or IPSAS, and their impact on the global public sector. Experts will discuss the basic principles of IPSAS, practical implementation strategies, and the transformative power of standardized accounting practices in the public sector. We will have an in-depth discussion, real-world case studies, and interactive sessions to clarify the path to financial transparency and accountability in the public sector. The goal of this webinar is to provide comprehensive insight into the International Public Sector Accounting Standard. Firstly, we will offer an in-depth introduction to IPSAS, explaining its basic principles and significance in a global context. Next, we will review best practices adopted by leading public sector entities worldwide, giving participants a view of how these standards are effectively applied in the various contexts and organizational cultures. Lastly, the webinar aims to facilitate interactive discussions among participants, allowing them to share and discuss specific challenges faced in their sectors in implementing IPSAS. Thus, this session is not only informative, but also collaborative, enriching our understanding of IPSAS implementation in diverse environments. Before we begin, allow me to share some technical information to ensure the smooth running of the event. We request all participants to turn off their microphones to avoid background noise during the presentation, unless needed. Each speaker will talk for approximately 45 minutes. After all speakers, I will open a question and answer session. Okay, now let's start today's discussion with our esteemed speakers. Our first speaker is Ibu Rasmimi Ramli, ACCA, Technical Advisor to the APS-ASB member from Malaysia. And then our second speaker is Ms. Ibu Ling, SA, M.B.A, Ph.D, certified as a member of the Indonesian Government Accounting Standards Committee. Good morning, Ibu Rasmimi dan Ibu Ling. Before we start, before we start, allow me to express our respect and gratitude for your participation today. We are eager to hear the insight and knowledge you will share. We hope Ms. Rasmimi and Mrs. Ling are in good health and spirit. For our first speaker, Ibu Rasmimi Ramli. Good morning, Ibu.
Morning.
Good morning. I will read Ibu Rasmimi Ramli CV. Ibu Puan Rasmimi Ramli is Executive Director of Sustainability, Digital Economy and Reporting Division of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, or M.B.A. He leads the Sustainability and Digital Economy initiative and also responsible for financial reporting, taxation, and risk management activities. The Institute is currently a technical advisor of the International Public Sector Accounting Standard Board. This is on various Malaysian Accounting Standard Board Committee, Working Group, and Task Force, as well as the technical committees under the Accountant General's Department. Prior joining M.B.A, she was an auditor at major firms in the UK and Malaysia and was an internal auditor at Maxis Berhad. One Rasmini is a member of M.B.A and fellow member of ACCA. She graduated from University of Wales, Cardiff, United Kingdom. So Ibu Rasmini will discuss introduction to IPSAS, understanding the core principle and objective of IPSAS, exploring the global significance of standardized public sector accounting, and then reviewing best practices from leading public sector entities worldwide from Malaysian perspective, and analyzing successful IPSAS implementation case studies from Malaysian perspective. So let's invite Ibu Rasmini to present her material. Please, Miss Ibu Rasmini, to present your material presentation.
Thank you, Pak Nasando. Assalamualaikum and good morning. So sorry for the hiccup just now, a bit nervous here in Malaysia. So first of all, I would like to thank Universitas Terbuka Indonesia, ACCA, as well as IAI for the invitation to speak at this event. So it's really good to see that the IPSAS as well as accrual accounting has been the topic, a trendy topic in Indonesia. So a little bit about myself before I go into the presentation. So I started getting involved in public sector since 2012. That was when Malaysia at that time, the Accountant General's Department, they established the Government Accounting Standards Advisory Committee, and they asked the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, MIA, to send a representative from MIA. So I spoke to my CEO at that time and said that this is something that MIA should participate, given the importance of Malaysia to move to accrual accounting, and hence I became the member of the Government Accounting Standards Advisory Committee since 2012. And then following from that, I started to get involved in the IPSAS-B as technical advisor from 2013 to 2015. At that time, supporting the former Accountant General's Department. And now I am supporting the current Accountant General of Malaysia, Puan Noryati, from 2023 until 2025. So I will be sharing some of the initiatives and experiences that we have in MIA in relation to supporting the government in their transition to the accrual accounting and adopting IPSAS. If we can go to my slides, could we go to my slides? Yeah, and we can go to slide 2. Next slide, please. So first of all, I will be covering about IPSAS. A little bit about IPSAS. I will also talk about IPSAS-B, and then talk about the benefits of accrual accounting. And then I will start to share the experience, the Malaysian experience on adopting IPSAS. Next slide, please. So what are IPSASes? So I think it should be IPSASes, International Public Sector Accounting Standards. So these are authoritative standards where these are used for the preparation of general purpose financial statements. And IPSAS-B, when they actually issue IPSASes, what they have in mind is these standards are designed to apply to public sector entities. And in their definition, public sector entities have certain criteria. One is these entities are responsible for the delivery of services to benefit to the public, or they redistribute income and wealth. Another criteria is these entities, when they finance their activities, these are directly or indirectly by means of taxes, or transfers from other levels of government. So for example, in Malaysia, federal government give allocation to another agency, for example. It could also be from social contributions, debt, or fees. And finally, the criteria of the public sector entities are they do not have a primary objective to make profits. So those are the three criteria of public sector entities as how the IPSAS-B looks at it. Next slide, please. So a bit of history of IPSAS-B. It was first originated in 1986 by the International Federation of Accountants. And at that time, they established a public sector committee as a standing committee where they have a broad mandate to develop programs to improve public financial management and accountability. And over 10 years, then the committee issued studies on specialized accounting issues in the public sector. And then in 1996, the committee changed its role to an international accounting standard setter for public sector, where it launched its standards program. And finally, in 2004, the committee was relaunched or rebranded as the International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, with revised terms of reference to reflect its mandate to focus on developing and issuing IPSASs. Next slide. So these are the current members of the IPSAS board. It is currently chaired by Mr. Ian Carruthers from the UK, and they have 18 board members at the moment, coming from 18 jurisdictions. And if you can see that my Malaysian IPSAS board member, Puan Noriati, sitting next to the chair. So her term is from 2023 until 2025. So the members of the IPSAS board came from governments, came from IFAC member bodies, the Forum of Firms, public agencies, international organizations, as well as general public. The IPSAS board is also supported by the technical advisors who accompanied the IPSAS-B members, people like me. So I am the technical advisor to Puan Noriati. And of course, the IPSAS board is supported by the technical staff, which is headed by the technical director, Mr. Ross Smith. Next, please. The objective of the IPSAS board is really to serve the public interest by developing high quality accounting standards. And we are referring that to the IPSASs, and also they issue other publications, which I will share with you a little bit more later, for use by the public sector entities around the world in preparing the general purpose financial reports. So we are referring to general purpose financial reports, which means which include the general purpose financial statements as well as other reports accompanying the general purpose financial statements. And in pursuing this objective, the IPSAS board supports the convergence of international and national public sector accounting standards, as well as the convergence of accounting and statistical basis of financial reporting. So what IPSAS-B did, they look at standards like IFRSs, the US standards, all that. They also look at the IMF statistical basis and see how it's best to converge all the standards and produce the IPSAS standards. Next, please. So as I've mentioned, the IPSAS board issue accounting standards as well as other publications. So these, so clearly you can see here, these are the IPSASs, and they also issues documents like recommended practice guidelines. We call it RPG in short, and it provides guidance on good practice that public sector entities are encouraged to follow. And these RPGs are really for the general purpose financial reports. These are not the mandatory requirements to apply for your financial statements, but it is more of voluntary application in relation to preparing general purpose financial reports. They also issue studies to provide advice on financial reporting issues in the public sector. So IPSAS board is really known for publishing the study 14, where it helps entities to move to accrual accounting. And of course, they do issue other papers and research reports. Next, please. Recently, the IPSAS board approved the 2024 to 2028 strategy and work program. It is currently in the midst of consultation. And here the proposal is emphasizing a greater focus on the maintenance of IPSAS, including developing a post-implementation review process, as well as reaffirm the IPSAS-based decision to develop public sector sustainability reporting standards. So you can scan the QR code and read the consultation paper there. Next, please. Just to note that if you are interested, the consultation period will be until February, so you can take your time and read the document and provide your feedback if you would like to. All right, so coming back to here on the IPSAS-based next strategy, so there are a few areas of focus that they are looking at. So they will continue to do work on public sector financial reporting, mainly on maintaining the IPSAS, as well as coming out with new guidance in the form of IPSASes. One of the big projects that they have is on public sector sustainability reporting, because of the importance of sustainability matters. They will continue to promote the adoption and implementation of IPSASes around the world. And of course, they will also continue to advocate the benefits of financial and sustainability reporting information. And I just would like to highlight in terms of the strategic objective of IPSAS-B in this particular, in the strategy and work program. This is where they would like to strengthen public financial management and sustainable development globally by increasing the adoption and implementation of IPSAS, as well as the public sector sustainability reporting standards. Next, please. All right, a little bit about some of the projects that IPSAS-B are currently doing. Well, the next IPSAS board meeting will be held in December, from 5th to the 8th of December in Toronto. So a lot of these projects will be discussed at that meeting. So you can actually observe the meeting by going to the YouTube channel. So the meeting is a bit, in terms of timing, that will be quite challenging for us here in this part of the world because the difference of 12 hours. But if you are interested, you can actually observe the IPSAS board meeting. So some of the projects that they have are on retirement benefit plans, and it has been IPSAS 49 has been approved recently. They are also looking at other type of other lease type arrangements. For your information, the leases standard IPSAS 43 has been issued as well. Next slide, please. They are also looking at the measurement application phase. So IPSAS 46 measurement has been issued, and since the standard has been issued, the IPSAS-B is now looking at what will be the impact to the individual IPSAS standards following the issuance of IPSAS 46. Differential reporting, IPSAS-B was, they are considering whether IPSAS should have the simplified version of IPSAS. So if you are looking at the International Financial Reporting Standards, the simplified version is the IFRS for SMEs. So IPSAS-B is currently considering that. Next slide, please. They are also looking at presentation of financial statements project in relation to disclosure of financial information about the general government sector, as well as IPSAS 24, presentation of budget information. They have approved ED 85 in relation to improvement to IPSAS 2023. Next slide, please. And definitely they are looking at sustainability climate related disclosure. So there have been a lot of discussions at the IPSAS-B. They have been listening to presentations from the IFRS Foundation, the ISSB, New Zealand External Reporting Board, the GRI. So a lot of discussion and have been happening in the sustainability climate related disclosure area. IPSAS-B is also looking at natural resources. This has been a very long project, talking about whether we should recognize natural resources in our financial statements. Next slide, please. Next, please. And also, they are revising the first-time adoption of accrual basis IPSAS, which is IPSAS 33, and this standard has been very helpful in terms of helping countries to adopt IPSAS. So definitely for Malaysia, we have been using IPSAS 43 a lot when we are transitioning from the cash basis to the accrual basis of accounting. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of to give you a flavor in terms of the adoption of IPSAS and accrual accounting globally. So this is a data from 2020 survey that IPSAS-B and IFAC did. So in 2020, you can see that 30% of jurisdictions have adopted accrual standards. That could be IPSAS, there could be other standards such as IFRS. 40% are currently in 2020 partially accrual basis, and finally 30% is cash. So if you look at Indonesia, that has been on accrual basis, while interestingly for Malaysia in 2020 we are still on cash basis. In fact, our published financial statements are still on cash basis, even though system-wise we have started adoption of accrual basis since 2018. Next slide, please. So how does, so based on the survey, then they asked the question in terms of how about in 2025? How about in 2030? So you can see that it is forecasted in 2025, 83 jurisdictions will be moving to accrual basis, with 61 using IPSAS, either full IPSAS or some modification to IPSAS, or some references made to IPSAS when they develop their local standards. While in 2030, that figures increase, there will there could be 120 jurisdictions moving to accrual basis, with 97, i.e. more than 80% will be using IPSAS. Next slide, please. The next three slides just give you some perspective in terms of how does IPSAS and IFRS in terms of the comparison or differences. So you can see here, out of 44 IPSAS as per the 2022 handbook, in total IPSAS-B has issued 49 IPSASes, but the standard that we are showing here are only for 44 standards based on the 2022 IPSAS handbook. So just to make it clear there. So you can see here that a lot of the IPSAS standards, they basically use IFRS as a base, and then they include various public sector guidance. So that is the second row here, where 23 standards. And then they also have public sector specific IPSASs, 8 of that. Those are really public sector specific, and you can't find any equivalent standards in other standards such as IFRS. And of course, there are some IPSASs where there are some minor modifications in relation to in terms of providing public sector guidance. Next slide, please. This just gives you what are some of the changes, whether it's significant or not in relation to IPSAS and IFRS. And next. And if you are interested to study more, to know more about the various the alignment between IPSAS and IFRS, this particular dashboard is really useful to see, what are the main differences. Is it significant or is it not, by looking at this dashboard? And of course, you can read the individual IPSAS standards to understand the differences. They do have some summary in terms of differences between IFRS and IPSAS. Next slide, please. Let's talk a little bit about the benefits of accrual reforms. Next slide. So there are a few areas that are benefits because of the accrual accounting reforms, and these are transparency, accountability in terms of resource management, as well as performance of the entity. So could you stay? So the information contained in the IPSAS or accrual-based financial reports is useful in terms of accountability and decision-making. And when the financial reports are prepared based on accrual basis, this will allow users to assess the accountability for all resources that the entity controls. And when they deploy those resources, it will also enable users to, so these are the users of the financial statements, right? They can also assess the financial position, the financial performance. So these are really the surplus or deficit statement, right? And also the cash flows of the entity. And they will also be able to make decisions in terms of providing resources or when they want to deal or do business with the entity. At a more detailed level, by reporting using accrual basis, it will show how the entity financed its activities and met its cash requirements. So for example, you can see that in doing the activities, the entity could be making loans, or they could be using their own resources in terms of cash and financial instruments. And they will also allow users to evaluate the ability of the entity to finance its activities and to meet its liabilities and commitments. So for example, if your liability is more than assets, then there is some going concern, potentially some going concern issue there. It also shows the financial position of the entity. So we normally call it statement of financial position, or layman term, we call it balance sheet, as well as changes in financial position. And these are really your surplus or deficit statement. It also provides entity to demonstrate the successful management of its resources, i.e. resources management. And finally, it will be useful then the performance of the entity can be evaluated in terms of service cost, efficiency, and accomplishments. Next slide, please. Next slide. slide 22. Okay, correct. Next, please. Pak Lasana, can I just check until what time I have I can present?
Yeah, Ibu. Thank you, Bu Rasmimi. You have maybe 10 minutes.
Another 10 minutes. Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, so in this slide, I will start to go into Malaysia. So quickly, in Malaysia, there are three accounting framework that we are using. We have the MFRS or equivalent to IFRS. These are used by the other than private entities. So these are entities like the listed entities, financial institutions such as banks, insurance companies, all that. And then we have the MPERS, the Malaysian Private Entities Reporting Standard. Quite 90%, 95% very similar to the IFRS 4 SMEs. These are used by the private entities, non-listed entities. And we also have the Malaysian Public Sector Accounting Standards, mainly based on the IPSAS standards, which are used by public sector entities. Quickly, who are the public sector entities in Malaysia? These include our federal government, the state governments. A state government refer to the provinces, right? And also the local governments. And these are not, so those are, as well as the federal statutory bodies in Malaysia. Next slide, please. So this just gives you more explanation in terms of the three frameworks in Malaysia. Next slide. Just to quickly share with you, this is the division chart where how federal statutory bodies. So federal statutory bodies in Malaysia refer to those government agencies that have been set up by the establishment of an act. So for example, the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, we are a body established under the Accountants Act in Malaysia. So when we actually go through, when we want to determine whether we should apply M.B.A or IPSAS, we will go through this decision tree, and then this will help us in terms of determining whether we should be using M.B.A or not. And if you can see here, the three criteria here, these are the three criteria that I have mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the criteria of a public sector entity as defined by the IPSAS board. Next slide, please. And next, so Malaysia experience of accrual accounting. Next, please. So quickly, and the reason for for Malaysia to use accrual-based accounting is really because this is related to our effort of moving Malaysia to from the developing country to become a developed nation. And this is really coming from the National Transformation Program that was announced back in 2010. And of course, we do have the Economic Transformation Program, as well as the Malaysia Plan 10 and 11 Malaysia plans supporting those transformation plan. Next, please. And this is supported by the strategic reform initiatives. We call it SRI. And if you can see that one of the 6 SRI is the public finance reform, and moving to the accrual base is really under this SRI, which is the public finance reform. Okay, yeah, you can move to the next one. This is our accrual accounting roadmap, where it was the Malaysian government actually adopts cash basis IPSAS back in 2005. Then in 2011, it was announced that Malaysia to adopt accrual accounting. And of course, they have dry run in 2015 and 2016. And 2018, this is the system that the federal government is using, where it has dual basis. It also capture cash basis transactions, and it also capture accrual basis transactions. But in terms of the financial statements, the federal government of Malaysia still publish the cash basis financial statements. Next, please. Quickly, in terms of sharing, in terms of the governance structure. So, of course, governance is very important when you want to embark on a very big project such as accrual accounting implementation. So, you have the accrual accounting for outcome-based budget working committee here, chaired by the Accountant General herself. And under there, we have the Accrual Accounting Steering Committee, and this committee is supported by the Government Accounting Standards Advisory Committee that I've mentioned earlier. So this is really the standards, in a way, the accounting standard setter of public sector in Malaysia. Then they also have the System Development Working Committee and also the Implementation Working Committee. Next slide, please. These are the implementation strategies that have been adopted in Malaysia. So the first box there, you can see in terms of the policy and standards, where we have to set the accounting policies. We have to carry out the IPSAS gap analysis. And also we are setting up the accounting standards, which are M.B.A. The next box is on law and regulation. This is very challenging in terms of getting the relevant laws and regulation to be approved, to be gazetted. So there have been various amendments or to legislation such as the Financial Procedures Act 1957. Next, we talk about process and technology. So there are various focus areas under this, which includes in terms of the accounting system, the revised and new processes, the chart of accounts. You have to review various financial documents as well as data collection. So, for example, when you are moving from cash basis to accrual basis, data collection is a very big exercise because you really need to account for all your assets in the government. And finally, human resources. This is very important. So change management becomes very important under when you want to move from cash basis to IPSAS basis. You have to involve all the government personnel in terms to move to accrual basis, and of course capacity building is very important, where you need people to understand the accrual basis. They have to understand what is M.B.A. and how this accrual basis will then affect their daily operation and their daily roles and tasks. Next, please. Of course, we are facing a lot of implementation challenges, and we still face them every day because we need to get a complete data. Change management is definitely a challenging process so that people change their mind from cash basis to accrual basis. And this is only not involve the staff. It also involve, parliamentarians, decision makers, and all that. Training and capacity building, and also, as I mentioned, to come up with the opening balance, where you're going to get what are your assets and liabilities at the start of adopting the accrual basis are also challenges. So these are really the property, plant and equipment balances. And another challenge is on getting the pension assets and pension liabilities, where, government hire many government servants with pension. Next slide, please. Maybe we can keep this slide and we can move to the next one. So this will be my last slide. Quickly on how MIA has been supporting the IPSAS adoption in Malaysia. So we provide technical support to the current and former Accountant General of Malaysia. Well, in 2013 to 2015, we actually nominated the Accountant General of Malaysia to be the member of IPSAS board, because we think that by being a member of the IPSAS board, it will give you various benefits, because you can deal with the other IPSAS board members coming from various jurisdictions, where you can understand and get insights in terms of their implementation of IPSAS. And you can get a lot of guidance as well during those discussions with IPSAS board members and staff. In MIA, we established the Public Sector Accounting Committee in 2013. We have been responding to IPSAS board consultation documents, so you can see our submissions on the MIA website. We have been advocating public financial management, where, for example, we advocate in terms of the head of finance function or the CFO in public sector entities should be a qualified accountant. We have been participating in the GESEC. We have also participated in the M.B.A application committee. And of course, we do a lot of outreach and engagement sessions on IPSAS board, public sector pronouncements, various training on IPSAS, as well as various articles and publications on public sector accounting. So that's all from me. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Pak Lasandu.
Thank you, Ibu Rasmimi, for your presentation. Ibu Rasmimi elucidated that the adoption and implementation of International Public Sector Accounting Standard are pivotal for enhancing transparency and accountability in public sector financial reporting. Emphasize the significance of these standards in ensuring consistency and comparability across different nations' public sector entities. Furthermore, she highlighted the role of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants in facilitating the transition to Malaysian public sector accounting standards, which are based on IPSAS. Ibu Rasmimi insight shed light on the strategic importance of adopting international standards in a national context, particularly in Malaysia, and underscore the challenges and efforts involved in aligning local practices with global benchmarks. Again, thank you, Ibu Rasmimi, for your presentation. I know participants are eager to ask questions, but please hold them for the Q&A sessions and we move on to the second speaker. Good morning, Ibu Ling.
Good morning, Sir Lasandu.
Yeah, how are you, Bu Ling?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for being here today. So here is a brief introduction to Ibu Ling, SA, AK, M.B.A, Ph.D, CA, Cert IPSAS. She is a leading figure in public finance and accounting. Ibu Ling earned her Ph.D in public management from Waseda University in 2010, and after obtaining her M.B.A from the same university in 2005, and a Bachelor of Economics with a specialization in accounting from the University of Indonesia in 2002. She has been a certified chartered accountant in Indonesia since 2002 with foundational education in accounting from the State College of Akuntansi in 1999. In her professional career, Ibu Ling currently serves as the head of the regional office of the Ministry of Finance for the Special Capital Region of Jakarta since 2023, previously serving as advisor to the Director General of Treasury Affairs from 2022 to 2023, and as a Deputy Director of Financial Reporting, Statistics and Analysis from 2016 to 2021. Additionally, Ibu Ling has been part of the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard Committee Working Group since 2021 11. Ibu Ling will discuss implementation strategies, practical insight in implementing IPSAS across various public sector organizations, overcoming challenges and obstacles during the implementation process, reviewing best practices from leading public sector entities worldwide from Indonesian perspective, analyzing successful IPSAS implementation case studies from Indonesian perspective. So let's invite Ibu Ling to present her material. Please, Ibu Ling, time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Rasando. I will share my slides. First, I would like to thank Ms. Olivia Idrus from Universitas Terbuka, and also Ms. Julia Simatupang, and all the members of ACCA who provide me with this opportunity to share Indonesian experience in embarking the journey to implementation of accrual accounting. So today I will discuss 4 topics of discussion. First, I would like to discuss about the government financial reform and the implementation of accrual accounting, and second, the practice of utilization of accrual information, the challenges, and also lesson learned and conclusion from Indonesian experience. So first, I would like to share about the coverage of Indonesian government. To be exact, is the Indonesian public sector. So in Indonesian public sector, we have government and also state-owned enterprise. So for the government, we have central government. Central government consists of 1 state treasury, 82 line ministries, and 20,734 spending units. We also have the provincial and municipalities and cities. We have 546 provincial and municipalities and cities. And we also have 83,794 villages. So for the SOEs, we have 91 SOEs and around 1,000 ROEs. So this is, if we are talking about the Indonesian public sector, is quite large, consists of a large number of entities. So the constellation of our reporting in terms of the whole of government reporting, we can explain the constellation in this slide. So first we have what we call the accountability report and also the statistical report. So for the accountability report, each of the level of government, they prepare their own accountability report. So here we have the central government. Central government prepare its accountability report, and it is audited by the Supreme Audit Board. And after that, it will be submitted to the House of Representatives. And each of the provincial and municipalities also prepare their own financial report as accountability report. They are also audited by the Supreme Audit Board and submitted to the Regional House of Representatives. So in addition to that, each of the public corporation, they also prepare their own financial report as accountability report. So in the terms of accountability report, each of this entity, they prepare their own financial report or financial statement. So we only prepare the whole of government reporting, which consolidate the central government, the provincial and municipalities, and also the public corporation in terms of statistical report, what we call the GFS report, the Government Finance Statistic Report. So it is maybe quite complicated if you see the picture, because we have many entities in our public sector. But this is how we design our reporting, our financial reporting, according to the state financial law. So each of the reporting entity prepare their report, while for the consolidation of the whole government reporting, it is conducted based on the statistical approach. So next, I would like to share our journey in Indonesian government, how we embark the journey to implement the government financial reform and also the accrual accounting implementation. Our journey can be divided into three stages. The first stages is the before 2003. It was what we call the pre-reform, before the reform took place. So the pre-reform until 2003, we were implementing the Dutch financial law during the colonization era during that time. That's what we call the indice comptabiliteit wet. And we didn't implement any government accounting standard at that time. We still implement the cash-based reporting, single entry, and segregated recording system. We didn't perform any reconciliation between data, and we had significant time lag, around 2 years, to prepare the financial report at that time. And we didn't have enough competent accounting staff also at that time, and we have scattered IT system and support. So in 2003, Indonesian government performed government financial reform with the issuance of the Indonesian State Finance Law Package. At that time, in 2004, in terms of accounting, we started to introduce the accounting concept in the government financial system. We started to implement what we call the cash toward accrual system. It is a modified cash or modified accrual. It means that we record our transaction in cash basis, but at the end of the period, we prepare the balance sheet. So this is something that looked like the modified accrual system at that time. At that time, in 2005, we also established the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard Committee, and we managed to prepare. We issue the first government accounting standard in 2005. So it is a modified cash or modified accrual accounting standard, and it applies to all the central and local government. And in 2015, the Indonesian government started to implement the full accrual basis. So the government accounting standard, the accrual government accounting standard, was issued in 2010. We need around 5 years transition from 2010 to 2015, and we started the implementation of a full accrual accounting in 2015. However, although we implement the accrual accounting or the accrual concept in accounting, we still implement cash-based budgeting. So in Indonesia, we have a dual system, the cash-based budgeting and accrual accounting. And at this time, we also record the transaction in accrual basis. So we record the transaction in accrual basis and in cash basis, and we prepare balance sheet at the end of the period. And during this time, we also developed the utilization of the accrual information for analysis, statistics, and policy making. So in terms of the Indonesian journey to implement the accrual accounting, we can segregate the time in 3 stages. As I mentioned before, we established the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard Committee in 2005. So it is based on the mandate from the state finance law. We have a state finance law package, the law number 17, 2003, law number 1, 2004, and law number 15, 2004. So based on this law, they mandated the establishment of the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard Committee, and they also mandated the issuance of Indonesian Government Accounting Standard. So this committee, it is an independent committee. It is established by the presidential decree, and the members come from all the stakeholders of the government accounting, consists of Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government Internal Auditor, other line ministries, the whole government, and accounting profession, and also academician. And the main strategy of the government accounting standard development is we adopt and adapt IPSAS. So our main reference is IPSAS, and we make some adaptation of IPSAS according to our condition and also our needs. But we try to maintain, try to implement IPSAS as much as possible. And in developing our government accounting standard, we have a due process, starting from topic identification, research, discussion of preliminary draft, decision making by the committee, the issuance of exposure draft, limited hearing and public hearing, discussion of comments from hearing, requests, and also discussion with the Supreme Audit Board, finalization of the standard, and also lastly, standard promulgation and socialization. So this is the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard. Now we have issued 17 standard statement. The most recent one, we issued the investment property, is the Government Accounting Standard number 17, and also service concession arrangement grantor, the standard statement number 16. So in addition to the standard statement, we also have the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard Committee also issue the technical bulletins. So until now, we already have 24 technical bulletins and also interpretation. So this is the types of government accounting standard that is available in Indonesia. So it consists of standard statement, technical bulletin, and also interpretation. And if we see the mapping between IPSAS and the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard, we can see the alignment between the standard statement, the IPSAS standard, and also the Indonesian Government Accounting Standard. So we, our approach is try to adopt the IPSAS standard statement as much as possible with the adaptation to the Indonesian condition and also needs. So if you see the mapping between IPSAS standard and Indonesian Government Accounting Standard, you can see that most of the IPSAS standard has been adopted and adapted by Indonesian Government Accounting Standard Committee. And IPSAS B in 2010, during that time, Indonesia still implement the modified cash or modified accrual accounting standard. Our standard at that time has been reviewed by IPSAS board. At that time, Dr. Andreas Bregman, the former chairman of IPSAS B, has conducted a comparison study and gap analysis between our accounting standard with the case basis IPSAS standard. And the study concluded that Indonesian modified cash or accrual accounting standard has gone beyond the requirement of the cash basis IPSAS in all significant aspects, and substantial convergence between our standard and IPSAS in many areas with small gaps only. And the recommendation was to further develop our accounting standard in alignment with the IPSAS, with the accrual IPSAS. And this is what we do. We develop our accrual accounting standard based on IPSAS with only minor adaptation. And we have implemented the accrual accounting since 2015. It means that we have implemented accrual accounting for around 8 years until now. So the next question is, what is the quality of our implementation of accrual accounting? One of the indicators is you can see from the audit opinion from the Audit Supreme Board. If you can see, most of the entity have received unqualified audit opinion. Central government have received or gained unqualified audit opinion since 2016 until now. And it is also applied to the line ministries. We have 82 line ministries until now, and most of the line ministries have received unqualified audit opinion from the Supreme Audit Board. And also for the local government, there has been an increasing number of local government that receive unqualified audit opinion. And in terms of the fiscal transparency review, which is also conducted by our Supreme Audit Board, our Supreme Audit Board has view that the level of fiscal transparency in Indonesia has been quite good. And based on our experience in implementing the accrual accounting, we can identify several key success factors for the implementation of accrual accounting. I think this is to some extent similar to what Ms. Rasmimi Ramli has mentioned before on the Malaysian experience. First is it is important to have a legal framework on accounting standard, system, and policy. Based on our experience, this is the starting point. If you want to embark on the accounting reform, you need to have a legal framework on accounting standard, system, and policy. And you need to align the accounting standard with the other requirements and also business processes. And second one, it is also important to have an integrated financial management information system. You need to have the chains of IT system, the hardware, software, so you can have an integrated system for all the subsystem in the budgeting process until the reporting. And information and communication is also important. You need to develop a robust implementation strategies, change management, and also secure high-level commitment from the stakeholder. This is also important. High-level commitment is one of the key, very important key success factor in Indonesian experience. And also, last one is human resource management and capacity building. This is very important because based on our experience, in each of the spending unit, usually they don't have enough accounting staff during that time. So we have to embark on really massive training. So at that time, we train around 50,000 staff in around 5 years. So the accounting staff in each spending unit can understand about the accrual accounting and can implement the accrual accounting properly. So we start the journey from the transition from the 2010 with the issuance of the accrual government accounting standard, and we start to develop the regulation, business processes, and also the IT system and until the full implementation in 2015. So this is quite a really challenging journey, but in the end, we managed to succeed and prepare the accrual accounting report. And until now, we have received unqualified opinion in most of the reporting entities. And I think this is also mentioned by Ms. Rasmimi Ramli before that in Indonesia is one of the 30% countries in the world that have implemented accrual accounting. And I think we should be proud of that because we are one of the few countries that have successfully implemented the accrual accounting. And this is a study conducted by IFAC in 2018. And this study mentioned several highlights that I think it is important for the implementation of accrual accounting. And this study also indicated that few government will have exactly the same driver for instituting the accrual reform and political commitment. It is important to the adoption of accrual accounting, and it is true in Indonesian experience. And the way government migrates to accrual accounting will depend on the local circumstances. It depends on the structure, on the accounting function, geographical issue. This is also what Indonesian face. We have a geographical issue because we have so many islands and it's really diverse from the west to the east with with different challenges. And also IT infrastructure, entity reporting, and consolidated government reporting. This is all that has been indicated in this report. It is true and is also experienced by Indonesian government when we introduce the accrual accounting. And what is interesting is there are some questions about the benefit of accrual accounting in the government sector. There are some studies that question whether the accrual accounting is really useful for the government sector. And I think based on Indonesian experience, we can prove that the accrual accounting is very useful for the government. And we started the implementation of accrual accounting first in the semi-autonomous agency, the public university and also hospital. And then in 2015, we started the introduction to the government entities. So in case of Indonesia, we now embarking on the change in mindset. So before we really put emphasis on implementing the accrual accounting for the accountability purpose. So we really focus on improving the quality of the accrual information so we can gain unqualified audit opinion. But for the next step for us is how we can utilize the information. How can we utilize the accrual information for the decision-making purpose? So that's why we are now introducing the change in mindset, not only focusing on the general purpose financial report, which is the accountability report that is audited and submitted to the House of Representatives, but we also need to prepare the report that can fit and that can support the decision making for the government. That's why we introduce several special purpose reports, such as statistical report and consolidation report, to support the financial decision making. So now we are trying to embarking the reform into the new phase of utilization of the accounting information. Because as you also understand that accounting information is not only useful for accountability, because accounting and we are the accountants also need to make some suggestion, make some analysis how to support the decision making for the government. And this is the shifting in the mindset in Indonesia now. We are try to improve or increase the utilization of information in all of the budget cycle, the planning, the budgeting, the budget execution, the reporting, and also the auditing. How we can utilize the accounting information in each of the budget cycle is very important. So accounting is not only about reporting, but about the utilization of accounting information in each of the budget cycle. And there are some factors that accelerate the significance of the utilization of accrual information. As we understand now, we also starting to embark the journey of industrial revolution, like 4.0 now, and also before we experienced the COVID-19 pandemic, and all of this experience really make us aware of the needs for the utilization of accrual information. It's not only about reporting. And in the future, as we can see, we introduce some new initiative like the climate change, like the importance of non-financial reporting. So this is all the factor that accelerate the needs or the significance of the utilization of accrual information for us in Indonesia. So now the role of accountants, especially the government accountants, need to change in shaping the utilization of accrual information. The accountant should not only be the preparer of the financial report, but also need to be the data insight, the advisor, the partner with the technology, and also join the development to the new era about the sustainability reporting, the non-financial reporting, the cybersecurity, the utilization of this information in the decision making. So in the near future, the government accountant should understand and should have the technical skill, the business skill, and also the soft skill. So this is a new challenge for us as a government accountant, how we can shift our mindset and have this and acquire these new skills set and also capabilities, so we can also embark and participate in this new journey to the utilization of accrual information in government. And this is some benefit of the accrual information, how it can be utilized. In addition to increase the transparency and accountability, accrual information can also benefit for the fiscal and macroeconomic policy, because accrual accounting is not only talking about the micro accounting, but also talking about the macro accounting, macroeconomic statistics, because all the data in macroeconomic statistics is in accrual base. As before, Ms. Ramimi also mentioned that IPSAS now also embarking a journey to align, to harmonize with the statistical standard. So I think it's also important for us as a government accountant to understand the analysis of fiscal and macroeconomy and link our accounting data with the analysis of fiscal and macroeconomy with the macroeconomic statistics. This is very important. And this accrual information can also serve as an early warning system for us. As you can see that some of the country has faced some problem in the financial problem and bankruptcy, because they didn't pay attention at the accrual information at the financial statement. So this accrual information can serve as an early warning system for us. And also it can serve as a country comparison and prepare the financial information, it's a comprehensive financial management, because the accrual information can be also linked with the other information such as performance information. So this is the paradigm of the utilization of accrual information. As I mentioned before, we need to link the micro and macro accounting, the separate and consolidation reporting, the performance risk and sustainability. So in the future, the accounting information, the accrual accounting, will grow bigger and will be linked with the other initiative. It's not only about accounting, but accounting should go together with the macroeconomy, also with the risk and sustainability initiative of the government. So this is, I think, a huge task, a huge challenge for us as a government accounting to be embarked in this new coming journey. And this is one of the initiatives that has been executed by the IPSAS. And there has been some initiative to harmonize between IPSAS and GFS. GFS is government finance statistics. Is a way to link the micro accounting with the macro accounting, as I mentioned before. So even IPSAS has some initiative to harmonize the IPSAS and GFS, and it is also mentioned in the main characteristic of public sector in the conceptual framework of IPSAS that government has two types of financial information: is the general government sector for macroeconomic analysis and also the general purpose financial statement for accountability and decision making. So this is the future, I think, for our financial reporting, that we have to align our financial reporting with the statistical macroeconomic statistic reporting. And this is also has become our focus in Indonesia for the last decade. We in Indonesia have implemented the government financial statistic, and we use the data to align the four sector in the macroeconomy. So the fiscal sector that uses the accrual accounting need to be aligned with the real sector, external sector, and monetary and financial sector using the GFS. And we have compiled the general government statistic since 2008, and also the public sector statistic since 2015. And our GFS has been recognized by the IMF as one of the benchmark in Asia, and it is also has been featured by the IMF at the IMF World Bank annual meeting in Bali. So I think we should be proud that our accrual accounting and also our GFS in Indonesia has been recognized as one of the case study and benchmark in Asian region. And with the implementation of accrual accounting, one of the benefit if we can introduce the balance sheet approach. This is very interesting because before the implementation of accrual accounting, we only emphasize the transaction or the flows, and the indicator mainly focus on deficit and debt. But with the implementation of balance sheet approach, we can introduce a more comprehensive indicator with the balance sheet as a assets and also equity. So this is very interesting, and I think it's very enlightening. And this can introduce a more comprehensive approach in analyzing the public sector in Indonesia and also in the other country. This is one of the examples how we can link our data in government with the other sectors in the macroeconomic statistics, such as the SOEs and also the central bank and the other sector of the economy. And with the emerging of industrial revolution, the emerging of technology in accounting, we can have more volume in data, more variety, more velocity, and more veracity in data. I think this is also very important for us because we can introduce a more comprehensive type of analytics, from descriptive, predictive to prescriptive analysis using the accounting data to support the decision-making process. And as also mentioned before, that integrated financial system is very important. That's why we in Indonesia we introduce integrated financial information system for all the central government agencies, and also we interconnected the data with all the provincial and municipal system. So using this one system, what we call SICRI, we can consolidate the data between the central and all the local government in Indonesia. So this is very important to have a timely integrated system, to have a timely data for decision-making process. This is a few of the future challenges. First, we still have the dual system. So how we can align the case-based data in budgeting with the accrual accounting for fiscal decision-making. This is something that we need to develop. And the second is to improve the quality of the local government data and to continue the development of integrated information system, business intelligence, and data analytics in government. So here's some lesson learned based on Indonesian case study. So the implementation of accrual accounting is a long drawn process comprising of multiple changes initiative affecting regulation, business process, system, and people. But it is expected to improve transparency and accountability of government, performance evaluation, and quality in decision making. So the utilization of accrual information has been focused on macroeconomic statistics, balanced approach, risk and sustainability analysis, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution for all the government, for all the implementation process. But however, the key success factor can be identified, and Indonesian experience can become lesson learned for other countries in implementation of accrual accounting and how to utilize the accrual information in decision-making process. So there are similarities in both challenges and benefits that can introduced by adoption of accrual accounting and utilization of accrual information. But every country is different, and therefore will follow its own path toward the achieving the objective. I think that's all my presentation for today. I will leave it to Mr. Rasando.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Meling, for your presentation. So, Ibu Meling has explained the challenges faced in implementing accrual accounting in Indonesia, such as the need for a robust legal framework, integrated financial management information systems, and capacity building in human resources are outlined. So, for the much awaited question and answer session, we'll open the floor for 2 questions for the audience. For the participant, please ask question for the both of you. Okay. That question to Ibu Puan Rasmimi. You can answer both. Ibu Rasmini, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. These are 3 questions. What are the potential impacts of IPSAS on the overall financial management and budgeting processes with the public sector? Maybe you can answer the first question.
Yeah, maybe I can look at all 3 questions. I think question 1 and question 3 have been, I have touched that in my presentation. And I think I also saw that that discussion during Bu Meling's presentation. If I can just address question 2. So in terms of the sustainability reporting standards, IPSAS board has just started working on the sustainability reporting standards. So, for example, in our IPSAS board meeting this year, the project brief has been approved, and we are looking at a number of standards on sustainability reporting standards to then explore, whether we should develop totally a new standard, or do we actually use the existing standards and publish and work from that basis. So really to say what is the impact of the sustainability standards to countries, it will be quite difficult to respond on that. But I guess if we are looking from the private sector perspective, where the ISSB has actually issued the two sustainability standards S1 and S2, and in Europe there have been a lot of sustainability standards have been issued as well. So we definitely have seen the importance of adoption of sustainability reporting standards in relation to efficient capital market. So maybe I stop there, Pak Lasando.
Okay, maybe I want to ask a question. Is the comparison of IPSAS implementation in Malaysia and other countries maybe you align with the international? Maybe is there any challenges to align the IPSAS from the Malaysian context?
So in Malaysia, the M.B.A, the Malaysian Public Sector Accounting Standards, are really based on the IPSAS standards, with some more of the nomenclature, some with some of the terms we call it differently, but very minimum. In terms of the challenges, I think so for example, in Malaysia we have adopted 34 IPSAS. But as I have mentioned earlier, that IPSAS board has issued 49 standards. So there is a time lag between us adopting the standards and what IPSAS has been issued, and some of these relate to quite big standards. So for example, in Malaysia, we have not adopted IPSAS 41 on financial instruments, and the requirement of the new financial instrument standard is very different from the old IPSAS 28, IPSAS 29. And we also have standards like IPSAS 47 on revenue. And again, the existing revenue standard, which is IPSAS 23, is very different. And when it comes to, and this poses us some issues where we want certain entities, where they are not federal government, they are not provincial governments, etc., but they are more of corporations. When we want them to move to M.B.A, these are the issues that we face where they have adopted MFRS, i.e. Equivalent to IFRS. So they have adopted the new financial instrument standard, they have adopted the new revenue standards. So it's very difficult for them to move to M.B.A where those latest standards have not been adopted here in Malaysia. So that will result in a delay for these entities to adopt a full M.B.A.
Okay, thank you, Zura. For information, that the participant of this webinar is also from Forum Dosen Akuntansi Publik. Yeah, besides from the students of Universitas Terbuka. So, Bapak Ibu from the FDAP, you can ask question and discuss with both of the today. Okay, maybe next questions from the students. Is there any question on the chat box?
Sepertinya ada yang di chat box, Pak.
Okay. Okay, from Afifah Rahadian to Ibu Rasmimi and Miss Ibu Meling ya. My name is Afifah Rahadian from UPBJJ Jakarta. I have question from Ibu Rasmimi. What we would about keep up with many step-by-step financial management, and I have question for Ibu Meling. How many we can include support financial management with this technology? So the question is for both of Ibu Rasmimi and Ibu Meling. Maybe the question is how to make the step from financial management based on the IPSAS ya. And we Meling how I really don't understand about the question. Maybe how to support financial management with technology from the presentation material. Maybe you know the answer better than me. Maybe first from Ibu Rasmimi to answer the question. Maybe the step by step from Ibu Rasmimi. I'm sorry, your voice, the audio.
Oh, sorry. Well, I tried. Maybe I can answer this based on my interpretation of the question. I guess here in Malaysia, we start with the accrual accounting implementation, right? Because I think it's very important to get the information first. I think as Bu Meling explained that when you have cash basis, you do not have full information. As in you just have cash outflows and cash inflows. So you don't see that how many assets do you have, how many liabilities that you currently owe. So it is very important to have a complete information. Then and how are you going to get that complete information? That is by adopting accrual basis accounting, because that will give you all the required information. Then from Malaysia perspective, then once you have the complete information, you can use all this information for a lot of things. One of it is management accounting. So when you have the full set of information, you can start use all this data for your management accounting purpose. So for example, you can start to see how you're gonna increase the efficiency of a public sector entity by carrying out various analyses. So that's where the data analytics become very important. And this management accounting is used by the government, by the functions in the government. Not only to increase in terms of efficiency, but also to come up with various policies. And I think, as Bu Meling mentioned about the use of government information during COVID. So for example, here in Malaysia, a lot of information coming from the accrual accounting information have been used when the government came out with various economic packages during the COVID-19 time here in Malaysia. So perhaps I stop there in relation to that particular question. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Rasmimi. I hope that answer can to the maybe the students will satisfy with your answer. Okay, to Bu Meling, how can we use this technology to support financial management? Maybe that's the question. Maybe.
Okay,
Please.
thank you. Thank you for the question to Miss Afifah. Yeah, thank you for the question. I think the technology information is very important to improve the financial management. As I mentioned before we introduced the financial management reform, our system were segregated. So, for example, each of the budget cycle has their own system. So our data is also segregated. This is very difficult because it affects the quality of the data, and the data were not reconciled at that time. We have different data for different subsystems. This is very difficult at that time. That's why we introduced the integrated financial management system for our reform. So for the whole budget process now, from the planning, from the budgeting, budget execution, accounting, we have one system now, what we call SPAN. In bahasa is Sistem Perbendaharaan dan Anggaran Negara. It is a one integrated system for the whole budget cycle. And for the system in the line ministries, we have one system also, what we call now Sakti, Sistem Akuntansi Keuangan Tingkat Instansi. So all line ministries implement this one system, yeah, from the planning until the accounting. So after that, we consolidate the data from the SPAN and also from the Sakti system to consolidate the whole of central government reporting and data. And also for the local government, they have their own system, but one system that we call SIPD now. So, but we try to, as much as possible, try to integrate this system by time. It is true that according to our state financial law, that each central government and local government can have their own system. But we try as much as possible to interconnect this standalone system to make it integrated system, because it is very important to have integrated system so we can reconcile the data and we can have centralized data with a more valid information. And that's for the accountability purpose. But in the next step, we also develop the business intelligence, because it's not enough with the system only to prepare the financial report. We have to utilize this data. So now we are in the process to develop what we call the treasury big data. So we will have a big data with the structured data from our system and unstructured data from the other system in the outside of the government. And we will use this data in the business intelligence to perform data analytics and to come up with the policy proposal, policy making process. So I think nowadays, of course, IT is very important and it can influence the quality of our information and also the quality of our decision making, which in the end will affect the quality of service of government provided to the society. And if we can improve this from time to time, I think in the end it will improve the government decision making and also what we can provide for the society. And maybe if allowed, I will also try to respond to one of the question about how the student or the society can have a role in the government process here. So I saw this question from Mr. Muhammad Mahakarya, and he mentioned that in many regional cases, public policies is often disturbed by the interest of public political elites. And how can this webinar give me insight so I can provide advice to stakeholders? I think this is very interesting question, but what I can say is that the government financial management system is one of the tools that can provide a governance to manage the government financial system from budgeting until the accountability process. And each of these system has been developed to provide the check and balances between the subsystem. And so there's some validation between the system and also checked by the internal auditor and also the Supreme Audit Board. So this is a very comprehensive system that already introduced really check and balances and also governance. But I agree with you that maybe the involvement of the society can also help to improve the transparency and also the accountability of the government. That's why within our budget cycle, there's also some room for the involvement of the society. For the example, when we prepare the budget law, we publish the draft of the budget law in the website, and there's also an opening session for the society to join when the House of Representatives and the government discuss the draft of the budget law. So you can participate in that session, and you can also provide some input for the government and for the House of Representatives during that time. And also we publish our government reporting in our website. So all the society can read the financial statement, can understand, and can provide input how we can improve our government operation, our practice, and our service to the society. So in some part of the budget cycle, there's some room for the involvement of the society. So I think it is open for all the people who would like to participate and provide inputs to improve the government practice. Maybe that's all my comment. Thank you, Pak Sando.
Thank you, Bu Meling. We move to the next question from Muhammad Rafi from North Sumatra. He asked, I wish to know if there's a chance to utilize students to have a clinical and technical camp, elevate knowledge and skills by doing knowledge transfer such as student exchange. So maybe this question for Bu Rasmimi, is there any program from your university to provide these services from to the student of Universitas Terbuka? Or maybe
yeah, I'm not sure whether well, I know that universities in Malaysia, they do have student exchange programs, but I do not know in terms of which university and what are the other countries' universities. But I think this is something that can be explored, and maybe one way of doing it is to get in touch with the universities in Malaysia.
Okay, maybe the answer for Muhammad Rafi, you can ask the UPBJJ, because you can also enroll to the outside from the government, maybe maybe there's a scholarship you can search on the web or internet, to maybe if you want to do this change, so can answer your question. We move to Dr.
Pak Sando, may I comment on this one?
Okay, please.
Okay. Maybe this is not really, we will not answer your question directly, but we are in the Ministry of Finance. We also open an internship program. If you interested to have an internship program within the Ministry of Finance, there are information in our website and you can apply. And also we have some study tour program in our office. If Universitas Terbuka have interest to come to our office to study and discuss, it's also open that you can apply for this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Meling, for the information. From Dr. Muhsin, what are the obstacles to implementing accrual accounting in Malaysia, and what are the solutions for the government. Maybe the challenges and how the MIA can give the application to the government. Rasmini, please.
Yeah, I think when it comes to implement obstacles in implementing accrual accounting, many countries would have the same. We share the same issues. I think you can see just now the challenges that we are facing in Malaysia, quite similar to the challenges that Bu Ling has shared earlier. So for us in Malaysia, one of the issues that I can share is Malaysia has been using cash basis since 2005, right? So the whole government, staff, the whole politicians are really used to the cash basis information. So when you want to move to accrual accounting, where you need to understand, first you need to know how to read the accrual-based financial statements. So what does PPE means? You know what is represented by assets, what is represented by liabilities. So for especially those who are non-accountants, it will be quite difficult for them to understand that. But even the accountants in the government at that time who are used to the cash basis IPSAS, we also then need to upskill them in order to understand what is accrual basis accounting. So I think the challenge is really about change management, and also to make sure that the people are ready, have the knowledge in terms of accrual based information accounting, for them to implement the accrual accounting implementation, as well as for them to understand accrual basis financial information. Because I think there is no point of doing the accrual accounting implementation. There are a lot of work being involved, a lot high investment, right? Because you need to change your accounting system. You also need to train thousands of accountants and government officers. But then when you get this information, then you need to use that information, because the purpose is really to use the information, but the preparation and getting the data for the information is a very big exercise. Then once you get that information, then we need to make sure that whoever explaining about the information plus whoever is using the information understand that information so that they can use it for their purpose. So where I think we have mentioned quite a lot in terms of accountability as well as decision making. Maybe Bu Ling want to add anything to that?
Please, Bu Ling, if you want to add.
Yeah, I think I agree with Bu Rasmimi about that. About the it is true that on the first stages of the implementation of accrual accounting, you focus on the system, right? How to develop the system, how to train the human resource, how to build the same understanding on this system, the accounting policy, the accounting standard is really a massive task during the time. So based on our experience, first and foremost, I think the most important is to have the commitment first, the political commitment, the high level commitment, all of the stakeholder, the government, the House of Representatives, to have this commitment, and it is issued in the law. It is mandated by the law. So this is what trigger us to really commit in implementing this accrual accounting system. And it is first mandated in 2003 actually in Indonesia, that 5 years and after 2003 in 2008 we will implement the accrual accounting. But at that time we were not ready, so we postponed the implementation until 2015. Now, can you imagine this is a really long journey for us? So from 2003 until we finally made it in 2015, it's 12 years of the transition and preparation. As I mentioned before, we have 2,000 spending units. We don't have many accounting staff in each of spending units, so we have to train them. So we train around 2 staff of each spending unit, so around 50,000 employees, 50,000 staff. We train it for several years. So this is really really a long journey, and we should understand the benefit first, as Ms. Bu Rasmimi mentioned that. We start the journey because we understand that it will benefit us once we get the information. And after, as I mentioned in my presentation, the key success factor is first political commitment, the IT system, the change management, and the human capital. All of this has its own challenges, but once we can overcome these challenges, we can successfully implement the accrual accounting. It takes time. It takes maybe different approach for each country, but once we commit it, I think we can implement it successfully. And now we already achieved the stages, and now we are thinking about how to fully utilize the information in all the budget cycle and in our operation. That is our step from now on. Maybe that's some of my comment. I will over to you, Mr. Lasando.
Thank you, Bu Meling. The next question from Mustiyanti. How the implementation of accrual-basis accounting can provide long-term benefits for the economy and transparency in public sector? And please mention the example. Maybe the question for the both of you. Please, Bu Rasmimi first, maybe.
Yeah, so I think maybe I give an example. So for example, before we under cash basis, where of course, so I'm looking at the property, plant and equipment, right? So we are talking about buildings, for example. We are talking about buildings. We are talking about roads, all that. And these are very big items in government financial statements. So when we have the accrual-based financial information, under the cash basis, we only show the cash outflows, cash inflows in the financial statement, right? But the details in terms of what are the various buildings, the roads, all the detail are kept outside the financial accounting system. Now, when you move to accrual accounting, all this information. So, for example, you have 1,000 schools, 1,000 training institutions, for example. So, in Malaysia, we do have issues where every single government agencies may have their own training institutions. So, if we have 500 government agencies, you just imagine we also have 500 training institutions for that particular government agency. So what does that mean? Then that means that each agency will need to spend on maintaining the training institution. Training institution, you would normally have buildings. So you need to maintain the building, you need to incur the depreciation. And this building not necessarily being used throughout the year. Some of these training institutions, perhaps they just do trainings for their staff maybe a few times in a year, but the rest of the time these buildings have not been used. So there are some examples of that. So when you have complete information on buildings, for example, you will then know what is the total amount of building that you have in terms of numbers, in terms of value. You will also know what's the depreciation expenses that you're going to incur in one particular year. You will also know in terms of how much maintenance expenses that you will incur in a year. And all this information, and also using accrual accounting, you will need to go through an exercise where is there any impairment on your buildings, on your fixed assets, all that. And by having all this information, you can actually plan in terms of how best you should use all these assets. So coming back to the training institution that I have mentioned, right? Do we really need to have 500 training institutions for 500 agencies? Or should we just have maybe a few training institutions but covering 500 agencies? So that information can be used for you to actually use your resources. So rather than you build 500 training institutions, which involve a lot of money, you actually just may need to have maybe 10 or 50 training institutions to serve the 500 government agencies. So I'm not sure whether that example actually can give you some understanding how we use accrual-based financial statements in the operation of the government. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Rasmimi. Maybe, is there any question from the participant?
Can I add something to that question?
Okay, please, Ibu Meli. I'm so sorry not
Yeah.
ask you. Ibu
Uh,
Meli.
I can add some utilization in terms of supporting the economic analysis. For example, if you are see the gross domestic product of Indonesia, when we calculate the economic growth, usually we use the gross domestic product. And from the expenditure side of the gross domestic product, there's some part of government expenditure. So government expenditure has a really important role in supporting the economic growth in Indonesia and also in the other country. So, for example, during the COVID pandemic, because of the economic slowdown, the income of the society is decreasing. People has less income, while they need to pay more expenses because they have to pay more health expenses, for example, and they need also for expenses for their daily activities. So, in order to maintain the welfare, the society welfare, government issued social assistance for the public. So this social assistance will help people to maintain their welfare, to maintain their daily life, and also can improve to support the economy to keep moving. So this is also what is useful with the information from the government, and also the government, the fiscal sector has some role in also supporting the economic society from the use of goods and services, and also the salary of the civil servant. So when the economy slow down, usually government has to support the economy by incurring more expenditure. And this is what we can read from our data. So we link our fiscal data with the other sector of the economy, with the national account, with the external sector, with the monetary sector, to see how this data between the sector, the interlinkages, and this is what support the decision making during the policy making of the economy and fiscal policy. And also, in addition to what Bu Rasmimi mentioned, that once we implement the accrual accounting, we have the statement of position. We know the asset, we know the liability, and we also know the equity. With the deficit budget, we need to really maintain a sound financial policy in order to maintain the sustainability. So that's why once we have the accrual accounting, we can analyze the data using the stock and flows approach, so we can understand whether we have a sustainability in the financial policy that we have. For example, in Indonesia case, we have a rule of thumb that the maximum deficit of government is 3% of the GDP, and the maximum debt is 60% of the GDP. So these rules have helped us to sustain our finance, to limit the deficit, and to limit the debt, so we can have a more sustainability in our finance. And this can be done with the help of the accrual accounting information, of course. Okay, thank you, Pak Rasando. I return to you.
Thank you, Bu Meling, for the explanation. Is there any question from the participant or the audience? We have 10 minutes more for the webinar. And maybe I want to ask to Bu Meling, what future steps and initiatives are being considered in Indonesia to further enhance the effectiveness of actual accounting in public financial management? The future steps initiative.
Okay, thank you, Pak Rasando. The future step is for us is to increase the utilization of the accrual information. As I mentioned, we develop the business intelligence and data analytics, so we can use the accrual information in policy making. And we will improve also the harmonization between accounting and also statistical reporting. So our accrual information will also be useful for the statistician, for the statistic office, for the central bank. So there is alignment between the fiscal and also monetary policy making. And as also mentioned by Bu Rasmimi, the future is also about moving to develop the sustainability reporting, the non-performance reporting. We have now initiatives to link the financial and non-financial information. We already implement the performance-based budgeting, so we link the input and output information in our budget. But right now, we have a separate reporting for financial and non-financial information. So in the future, it would be useful if we can integrate the financial and non-financial reporting within one report, so we can align the reporting with the budgeting process. So the reporting will be the accountability of the performance budgeting process, and it will provide input for us. Because for a government, the bottom line is not about financial information. It's not only about deficit, but how our budget is allocated efficiently and effectively. So that's why we need the non-financial information with the financial information, so we can analyze the efficiency and effectiveness of our spending. So this is a few initiatives that will be implemented in the near future. Over to you, Pak Rasando.
Do you think that capacity building and training from the government officials and accountants will be essential to support this line from the IPSAS to dual accounting in Indonesia?
Yes, of course. I think the capacity building is very important because for accountant, this capacity building is very important. Not only about the accounting skill set, I think, but accountant need also to understand about the macroeconomy, about the statistics, about the other skill set like data analytics. So I think a few years ago there's some movie or some jokes about accountant that the profession of accountant will be extinct in a few years. But I think it's not true because the government accounting especially, we need to improve our skill set, not only about the accounting treatment, but also how to align our skill set with the other knowledge in statistics, in macroeconomy, and in other area of the business process in the government, so we can be useful. So we can enhance our skill set. We can provide useful input to that process. So that's why I think the capacity building for the accountant right now is not only about the accounting skill set anymore. Before, when we make transition from the cash basis to accrual accounting during 2010 and 2015, it is about training the accounting skill set, how to make the government staff understand about the government accounting, understand about the accrual accounting, because as also in the Malaysian experience, we are moving from cash to accrual accounting. It's very difficult to change the mindset from cash to accrual accounting. But right now, the capacity is not only about the improvement of the accounting skill set, but also how to link our knowledge, our skill set with the other skill set and knowledge that is very useful for the government. I think that's my comment.
Thank you, Ibu Meling. From the audience, if you want to raise hand, question. Is there any from audience want to ask? Okay, if no one want to ask. Maybe I want to ask the last question from two of the speaker to close the webinar. For Bu Meling dan Bu Rasmimi, what are the key lessons learned from Indonesians' experience or Malaysians' experience in transitioning to accrual accounting practice? Yes, maybe Bu Rasmimi first.
Yeah, I think lesson learned, as Bu Meli mentioned a few times about political commitment, I think it's very important. One of the countries that moved to accrual accounting in a very short period of time is New Zealand, and the reason for that because there is a political will to really move into accrual accounting. So that's very important. So once we have the political commitment, then everything I believe will fall into place. System will be sorted in terms of competencies of staff and government officers in relation to understand accrual accounting will also be can be done smoothly. So it really depends on the political commitment. Once you have that, I think the journey will be very much easier compared to if you don't have one. So yeah, that would be my main key takeaway.
Okay, thank you, Bu Rasmimi. Please, Bu Ling.
Yes, I agree with Bu Rasmimi. First is political commitment is very important, but it also need to be followed by the capacity building. and development of IT, of integrated IT system and change management. That's, I think, for key success factor based on Indonesian experience. And lastly, don't stop until you have successfully prepared the financial statement. The goals of the journey of implementation of accrual accounting is not about preparing. It's not only about the preparation of the accrual financial statement, but about how to utilize the accrual information in decision making. So it will be completely successful when you already achieve that stage. So I think that's the key takeaway from Indonesian experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Meling, and also thank you, Bu Rasmimi. So to conclude this enlightening webinar, I would like to thank our speakers and all participants for your participation. Your engagement today shows the importance of collaborative efforts in promoting innovation in public accounting. Before we close this webinar, I would like to share a summary of our discussing today. So the navigating the world of IPSAS and the practice of and challenge of utilization of accrual information in Indonesia collectively offer valuable insight into the realm of public sector accounting standard and practice. Focusing specifically on the international public sector accounting standards and the implementation of accrual accounting in Indonesia. The navigating the world of IPSAS highlight the significance of IPSAS enhancing financial transparency and accountability within the public sector. It covers the history, development, and objective of IPSAS, underscoring their alignment with the International Financial Reporting Standard, or IFRS, for consistent and transparent financial reporting. The Malaysian Public Sector Accounting Standard derived from IPSAS and the Malaysian Accounting in Malaysian Institute of Accounting, or M.B.A, role in facilitating this transition. On the other hand, the practice on challenge of utilization of actual information in Indonesia delves into Indonesia's transition to actual accounting. The reform of government financial system, the practical application of actual information across different government sectors, and the challenges encountered during the transition, such as legal, systemic, and human resource hurdles. This presentation encapsulates lessons learned from this process, emphasizing the importance of coordinated planning and support for successful accrual accounting reforms. Together, today, both of the presentations from our speaker provide a comprehensive understanding of the evolving landscape of public sector accounting. They illustrate how international standards like IPSAS are shaping financial practice in different countries, with a particular focus on the challenges and advancements in Malaysia and Indonesia's journey towards enhanced public sector financial management. As we come to the end of our webinar, on behalf of ACCA, FDAP, and Universitas Terbuka, I thank you for joining our session. Let us apply the knowledge we have gained from today's discussion into impactful action. I'm Lasando, and I will conclude this session. Have a pleasant day. Thank you to our distinguished guests and all audience members. Now, I hand it back to the MC, back to you, Nia, please.
Thank you very much to our moderator, Mr. Lasando. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, attention please. To extend our gratitude and appreciation, we would like to present a certificate for our speakers and also moderator, and followed by photo session. To Team ICT, is the certificate ready? All right. The first certificate we would like to give to the first speakers, Ms. Rasmimi Ramli, ACCA. Please give applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rasmini. Next, we would like to give our second certificate to the second speakers, Ibu Ling, S.A.AK, M.B.A, Ph.D. Thank you so much, Bu
Thank
Ling.
you.
Thank you. The last, we would like to give a certificate for our moderators, Mr. Lasando. Thank you so much, Mr. Lasando. Thank you. After the certificate, thank you so much for our speakers and moderators. We would invite our participants to open the camera for the last photo session together. To Team ICT, please guide our photo session.
Okay, ready for the first scene. 1, 2, 3. Second line. 1, 2, 3. Okay, enough, Nia.
Thank you, Miss Nisa. To all participants of this webinar, kindly fill in the feedback form for this webinar as a condition for obtaining a certificate. The time limit is 15 minutes from now. Sadly, this webinar event has ended. And once again, thank you to the team Komite and all parties who helped make this international webinar successful. We do apologize sincerely for any mistakes we have made so far in this webinar. And I wish Her Excellencies, honorable foreign and local speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, great success in your future. For giveaway winners will be announced in the Instagram of Program Studi Akuntansi Publik at Prodi AKP _FEBUT. Look forward to our next webinar. Have a nice day. Thank you and see you again later. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Bu Rasmimi. Thank you, Pak Alhando. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ibu.
Thank you, Ling. Thank you, Pada Sabtu.
Thank you, Ibu Ling dan Puan Mimi.